Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So in today's video, I'm going to be talking about personal finance tips. So whether you're looking to budget, get into investing, or you just want to save money this year, keep watching this video because there's going to be advice here for everyone in their 20s. So let's dive into the video. The very first thing is budgeting. So you want to budget like a boss. It's called the 50-30-20 rule. So the 50-30-20 rule is that you want to allocate 50% of your income for needs. So anything that you absolutely need, that includes groceries, food, rent, any bill payments that are an absolute necessity. So half of your income goes towards that. That gives you 30% for your wants. So things that you don't need but you would like to have, that includes things like makeup, jewelry, any additional spendings, or even subscription services that you don't need but you want to have. And you want to allocate 20% of your income for savings and investments. So that is the 50-30-20 rule. And myself personally, I use a spreadsheet. So every month when I am looking at my finances, when I'm looking at my spending, I would go in and fill out how much I've spent in those categories. So wants, needs, investments, and savings. And I have a monthly target that I want to hit. And obviously this changes. So when you go from being a student to a working professional, your wants, needs, and your investment goals, they do change. So be mindful of that and also set realistic goals. That's one piece of advice that I would give to everyone. So I personally use a spreadsheet where I track my finances and I just fill it out and it just populates the numbers for me. I know other people use apps like Mint or even just whatever is trending on the App Store. So just figure out what works for you and just make sure that you're keeping up with it on a monthly basis. The next big tip that I have for anyone that's looking to really get into their finances this year is to build financial literacy. We live in a time where all the information that we need, we don't need to necessarily get a degree for it. So for example, I don't have a finance degree. I did my undergrad in life sciences and I did my master's in biomedical engineering. I don't have the finance background, but everything I know about finance is by reading books, by watching YouTube videos. I actually got into the stock market through TikTok. So you just have to get on the educational side of social media basically, and then just be willing to learn from that. There's also online courses that you can take about budgeting, investing, saving, how to make your money work for you. And just taking the time to invest in these different areas can help you a lot later on, especially as you're building financial literacy as a young person. I really like Simran Kaur. She's the author of Girls That Invest, and I really like keeping up with her Instagram posts. She's always sharing useful information. So find accounts similar to that. And also just training your algorithm to give you educational content versus entertainment. The third point is to be smart about lifestyle inflation. By that, I mean that you shouldn't overspend just because you go from being a student to a new grad and you're getting these promotions along the way. You don't want to overspend. You should live above your means. And I know that social media can play a huge role in this. And this is where you see girls in their 20s that live alone downtown. They live in a high rise and they have this amazing view, and then you want to go and do the same thing. You really can't judge people's lives from what you see online. And when it comes to being smart about lifestyle inflation, you should really watch what you're spending your money on. Invest in experiences, not things. Studies actually show that experiences bring more happiness to someone than material purchases. Another thing is to check your bills frequently, check your finances frequently. I check my bank account at least 3 to 4 times a week, I would say. You want to check your bills frequently, and you also want to check your bank accounts frequently. I want to see what I'm spending for the day. I want to make sure that I didn't get charged for anything that I didn't actually use. And if that happens, I'll reach out to the provider that charged me and I'll make an inquiry. You can also submit these claims to the bank and they'll look into it. This is how you avoid those sneaky charges. You also want to cancel those sneaky subscriptions. Take a look at your needs, your wants, and your overall lifestyle and see which subscriptions you actually don't need and you can live without, or just seek out alternatives. If you're someone who has zero self-control, take your credit card off of Apple Pay. When I first got Apple Pay on my phone, I was tapping my card like Apple was paying for everything, but it's not. It's actually you. Technically, your money is not yours. It's the bank's money. So just be mindful of what you're paying for. So the next tip is to prioritize an emergency fund. What this means is to aim for 3 to 6 months of expenses, just to have that set aside. You don't know what things are going to look like. So this mostly acts as a safety net. This can actually help you handle those unexpected costs. For example, if you lose your job or if you have medical expenses, you're able to have that money that you set aside, anticipating a situation like this. So you just want to make sure you're saving for 3 to 6 months. And the best way to do this is to automate your savings. So what I do for this is I set up automatic transfers to a savings account just for an emergency fund. Okay, so the next tip, which is probably one of my favorite things to do, is to start investing early. So if you're looking at this and you're thinking you're too late, there's this quote that where they say the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago, but the next best time is now. And I think that goes for investing too. You can always start today. It's never too late, and you shouldn't worry that you're too old or other people are ahead. You can always just start now. And that's because of compound interest. When you think about compound interest, time is your best friend. Even these small investments in your 20s, they can actually grow over time. It does exponentially grow over time. So it's always a good idea to invest, and it doesn't matter how much you're investing. If you're a beginner and you want to go with something more low risk, I would say to invest in index funds or ETFs. Since we're already talking about investing, you should also open a retirement account. I know being in your 20s, it's just too early to think about retirement, but it's better to start now than later. You want to maximize your contributions to your 401k. And if you don't know what that is, then just make an appointment at your bank, whoever is your financial advisor. Have a chat with them, ask them questions about opening a retirement account, and since they're an expert, they can guide you on what type of account suits you best. That's really helpful to have, especially if you're not willing to take those risks or if you're not sure if opening a retirement account as a new grad is right for you. So the next tip is to tackle debt strategically. So if you are someone who just makes the minimum payment on your credit card, you don't pay it off in full every single month before the deadline, you need to focus on your high interest debt first. So you want to prioritize paying off credit card balances or other high interest loans quickly, and this is because these things add up. You're losing money, you're at risk for your credit score. Your credit score can also be affected by this, so you want to tackle those first. There's also the option to refinance or consolidate loans. So by refinancing or consolidating loans, you can explore options, lower interest rates on student or even personal loans. So that's also something that you should be looking into if you're someone who has debt. I know I touched on this briefly earlier, but build your credit responsibly. If you're over 18 years old and you don't have a credit card yet, that should be your first line of business. Get a credit card and use it wisely. Make sure that you're paying off the balance in full every single month to avoid interest. Keep in check with your finances. See what you're spending your money on. If you're getting that $8 latte every single day, try to cut back on that. You'll see it on your statement at the end of the month, and it does add up. That's a lot of money for a coffee that you could have just made at home for like under $2. Another thing that I learned a little bit later after I had my credit card is to check your credit score regularly. I thought I would just have to check it once, and if it was a good score, I thought I just had to be happy about that. You want to monitor your score regularly, and that way if there's any inaccuracies, you can dispute that. So the next tip is to negotiate like a pro. And when I say to negotiate, you should always ask for more. For example, myself as a new grad, I was interviewing at a lot of places. When you accept the job offer, always negotiate your salary and benefits. If they're not willing to be flexible on the salary, make sure that you can get a little more in benefits, and always aim a little bit higher than what they're offering, just so that you're getting a better deal at the end of the day. And another thing that you can negotiate is your bills. So you can always call your service providers to negotiate lower rates on various things. So for example, you can negotiate your internet bill, your phone bill. You can always call them up and ask them if there's a better deal, because knowing these companies, there's always a better deal that you can get. So now that we're getting towards the end of the video, so I want to share some more practical tips on how you can build your wealth. Networking and building your skills are so important for this. You want to grow your income streams. They say that if your 9 to 5 is your only source of income, you're actually one step away from poverty. Especially in this day and time, it's so important to diversify your income streams, whether it's through content creation, you have a part-time job, investments. It's really important to develop side hustles, and you also want to invest in yourself, whether that be taking courses, attending workshops, or just getting certifications that boost your resume. And when you go to apply for a new job, or you want to get a raise at work, these things will be helpful for you. And last but not least, it's so important for us to support and empower each other, whether that's by sharing resources. For example, when I was first getting into investing, my friends and I would look at videos and send it to each other, and we would just try to learn it together, and we would just learn about it together. And it was really fun because it was during the pandemic, so you can discuss your goals and your strategies, what apps everyone's using, which stocks are going to take off, which ones are long-term holds, which ones you want to sell within the next few years. It's very important to share resources and just talk about finances. I feel like money can be a very touchy subject, but it's also important to share what you know with others. The very last point I'm going to be making before I close out this video is to celebrate your wins. You want to recognize those milestones. If you're hitting your saving goals, you want to recognize that. You want to celebrate that. If you've paid off your debt, make sure you acknowledge that for yourself. I'm not just going through your life stressing about money. You also want to live and enjoy what you have because you worked so hard to reach that goal. I think that's so important. And when I say to celebrate your wins, I don't mean go and spend more money. Don't do that, but it is important to treat yourself here and there. And that's pretty much it for this video. I hope that this video was really helpful for all of you watching. If you learned something, if you want to know more, if you have any questions, feel free to drop it down below. So if you like this video and you learned something from it, you found it helpful, please give it a thumbs up, like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you in the next one. Bye!